of revolution. So we're celebrating not only freedom, but we're also celebrating education and what it takes to uphold that freedom. Once again, give our scholars a round of applause. Before we move on with this great program that our staff and students put together, we are going to have some words of inspiration from our very own transformational leader, Principal Willie Worley. Principal Worley.
Wow, thank you, Ms. Jacquez. I used to try to fight kids when they would use my whole name like that. I was traumatized. The teacher was like, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So that traumatized me, but I'm over that. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here, for Ms. Jacquez, the Social Justice Student Union, for putting on programs and doing all of these wonderful programs throughout the course of the year to really help us highlight our history and our culture. And I am at heart, I'm probably an introvert. I stand off to the side a lot. My daughters, sometimes when we're in public, their task is to get me to go forward. So I know I do this, but it's really not my comfort zone. And also, I'm a little emotional right now because I want to tell you a story. And I came to know about Juneteenth by a woman named Lily Roberts. I met her when I was 18 years of age. And her birthday was actually June 19th, 1908. And when I met her, she told me that her birthday was on Juneteenth. And I didn't realize what it was. So I think about her on this day. I think about my grandfather. His name was Ben L. Ford, who was born October the 6th, 1914. And both of them share some stories with me. And they would oftentimes say that by the time they could remember, by the time they were 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of age, that school was shut down. That they would have to go and pick cotton, whether they were in South Carolina or in Alabama at the time. That they would stop school in late August, early September, and all the black kids had to go and pick this cotton. And as I was thinking about them, as I got the message that I had to say something, I wanted to make sure that I share their story. Because my grandfather was raised by his grandfather. His grandfather, unfortunately, was one of those African Americans that came out of the institution of enslavement. And one of the things that, as I recall conversations, and I'm using my words, but this is what I gathered from them, that they wanted us to really be clear about sympathy versus empathy. So African Americans have never wanted people to feel sorry for us, have never wanted that type of sympathy. But we did want that type of empathy where you understand the history of where things and where we've come from. Can you imagine during the time of enslavement, and this is where I shudder, to be a father and your wife is sitting next to your daughter and she says to her, baby, they're gonna come. I don't know when they're coming. I don't know how many of them are coming, but you're about 13 years old now. And as the father, there's nothing that you can do about the brutality, the rape that you know is going to impact your daughter. Can you imagine being on a plantation and all of the perversion that people have these days that they had back then, and you have immunity to do what you want to human beings anytime you want to? Joy Leary calls that trauma. And she says that there's generational trauma. Can you imagine wanting to live in a neighborhood and because of redlining and other things you can't live in that particular neighborhood, that you don't have the resources that other neighborhoods have? And this happens generation over generation, year after year. That's trauma. And so as I think about Juneteenth, as I think about us celebrating this, I really want us to understand that, again, blacks are not, people of African descent, black and brown people are not asking for anyone's sympathy, but we are asking for that empathy and kind of understanding our history and how we got here. And it's really not even about a blame game at this point, but what is it that we can do so that we are all whole. And there has been an injury, and if you don't treat the injury, you're going to continue to get the results that you're getting. And so as we celebrate Juneteenth, as it's being popularized by the incidents that have happened recently, I definitely want to encourage us to take the holiday, right, and celebrate it, but we want more than that. That we really want that level of understanding and that level of conversation about how we really make things right. So in World War II, when the internment of the Japanese happened, there was a sense of reparations. When things happened to other groups of people, there was a sense of reparations. So I know that's a bigger fight, and I know that other people will talk about the history of Juneteenth, but I just really want to say and offer my gratitude for giving me the opportunity to share. But again, I would be remiss if I didn't call the name of Lily Mae Roberts again, who first introduced me to this word, Juneteenth. Again, she was born June 19th, 1908. Thank you.
Shout out to Lily Mae Roberts as we pay homage to her on this day. Lily Mae Roberts, we remember you. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, Village, please rise. Please rise for the posting of the colors.
Polygon and height. Carries color. Smaller heart. Polygon. Halt. Halt. Polygon. Halt. Halt. Treason. Art. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lift every voice of sing till earth and heaven roll. Bring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky.
African American church real quick. Band, take us to church. Not church, we want to go to church. Church. Juneteenth. Come on now, in the spirit of that, you know what to do. In the history of Juneteenth, our social studies teacher, Miss Keisha Smith, is going to bring you some herstory and history.
Good afternoon, everyone. Described as a second Independence Day, June 19th, or Juneteenth, marks the day that emancipation reached enslaved people in the furthest reaches of the American South. Though the Emancipation Proclamation established that all enslaved people held within the rebellious states were free, plantation life continued as though no change had occurred in many parts of the slave-holding South until June 19th. On June 17, 2021, the U.S. Senate unanimously approved a bill to make Juneteenth a legal public holiday. Juneteenth is a time to reflect upon this history as well as the steps toward freedom that have been achieved and the forces that continue to undermine the freedom of African Americans. Celebrations broke out among newly freed Black people, and Juneteenth was born. That December, slavery in America was formally abolished with the adoption of the 13th Amendment. The year following, 1865, freedmen in Texas organized the first of what became the annual celebration of Jubilee Day on June 19th. In the ensuing decades, Juneteenth commemorations featured music, barbecues, prayer services, and other activities. And as Black people migrated from Texas to other parts of the country, the Juneteenth tradition spread.
Hey, all right, all right. Thank you to our historian, Miss Keisha Smith, and might I add, a whole you know, you don't get on me about putting you on the spot. Ms. Keisha Smith is a model social studies teacher, and we are so grateful to have her here at East Orange Campus High School. And I'm telling you right now, in the spirit of the African American Church, get ready, because you will be set up as a model teacher for next year. Because in the spirit of Ubuntu, we are going to continue to learn from each other, because none of us is great on our own. We are only great when we come together. As you see, it's a ELA department, social studies department, VPA, CTE, and we're gonna get math and science out here next year to put this together. So in the spirit of Ubuntu, in the spirit of Umoja, we are grateful. We are so grateful. Now Ms. Cuffy has a poem that she will be reading. Come on now, Queen Mother Cuffy. Come on down, come on down, come on down.
Good afternoon. How y'all doing? All right, all right. This is a Cuffy original from the depths of my spirit called Tick Tock. Tick Tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Can somebody please tell me what time is it? Tick tock, tick tock. Ashes burning, lightning flashes, people jumping out of windows. Tick tock. Attention America, ethics are on sale. Free, 99% discount. Throw your ethics out of the window. Boy for sale, woman for sale, children for sale. Tick tock, tick tock. Can somebody please tell me what time is it? Tick tock, tick tock. Can somebody please tell me what time is it? No more reparations, no paying you. You're black, you're Asian, you're Chinese. So until you drop, make your Nike sneakers and smoke your Philly blunt. Tick tock, can somebody please tell me what time is it? It's time for education. It's time for educators to stand up and rise. What time is it? It's time for reparations for our African American people. What time is it? The time is now, and it's always right now. I no longer count Franklin and Benjamins for the man on White Street. I teach children with brown skin and brown eyes like mine. Tick tock. Tick tock, what time is it?
Ashe, ashe, it is well, it is well. We have one more poem from ELA teacher, Miss Robin Spencer, another original. Come on, ELA department, proud. Now this is modeling. We're gonna model this for our students next year, right? Cadence, rhythm, alliteration.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is untitled, America, America. Shooting and looting with your convoluted laws, not investing or protecting because of your racist cause. Unbreak my heart. Give me reparations for the pain that you caused. The wealth that you took with Philadelphia, Charleston, Orangeburg, Greensboro, Tulsa, and of course, Rosewood. Burnings, redlining, stealing money from our books, perpetuating, the crookedy crook, incarcerating my brothers, my sisters, pipeline pocketbook. Today we celebrate another loophole in the system created by design, a bit oxymoronic, holding our ancestors 2.5 years, well after their time. Still living their shadows with fight to progress, waiting for America, who will never redress. All the evidence is out, and so is the jury. Post-traumatic slave behavior, the mentality tearing us apart, using weapons as a choice, instead of conversations with the beauty of our minds and our voice, being heard through our works. Don't need a Facebook post. Be concerned with what you're doing. When it's from the heart and not a boast, it will spread like wildfire. The warmth of sincerity will transcend into your power, making who and what you did a continual burning desire. Pay it forward. Juneteenth, unshackle us today from some of our inherent ways. As you know, freedom ain't free until we start living in harmony, not shaming each other from our tresses, body, or sexuality. Valuing our self-worth and birth until death, leaving nothing unloved, cared for, no unrest. Helping each other to succeed. Everybody wins, even when we compete. Let's find our peace that we so desperately need. Find our peace today through the celebration of Juneteenth.
Okay, all right, Mahalia. I am so proud. Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Miss Spencer Ashe. At this time, we have a very, very, very special selection from one of our very own students, Fabian, on the trumpet. He will be performing taps. He will be performing taps, and taps will be narrated by Racine. Another wonderful scholar who is oh so diligent and professional. Proud of you, Don.
In July 1862, U.S. General Daniel Butterfield and his brigade were kept at Harrison Landings, Virginia, recuperating at the 7 Days Battle in Richmond. This outside of the bugle call, the standard bugle call, used by the Army to indicate to the troops it was time to go to sleep. And thinking the call should sound more somber, Butterfield reported an existing bugle call used to end the day. Since that day, taps have been used to honor lost and fallen loved ones. Today, we use taps to honor those lost to racism before and after the emancipation of June 19, 1863.
Giving homage where homage is due. Thank you so much for that beautiful rendition, Fabian, and thank you for that narration, Queen Young Racine. Thank you, thank you. And at this time, before we close out in celebratory fashion, because this is once again a celebration, Dr. Ozello, our law teacher here at campus, is going to share some amazing news with you that most of us already know, but just in case you don't, in a spirit of clarity, here he is.
How you doing? Yesterday, little after 4 o'clock, President Joe Biden signed into law a provision that made Juneteenth a national holiday. The last time they added a national holiday to the calendar was in 1983 for Dr. King. And most of you are young enough that you don't remember when there was not a Dr. King Day. I remember, and I remember the struggle, and I checked into and I looked into the struggle with this, and finally it's being recognized and will be celebrated across the country. And it's my sincere hope that it's celebrated with our achievements and the progress we've made in gaining equality and keeping it, and it's not celebrated with discount sales for electronics and patio furniture. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ozello. Love, 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 an amazing teacher, an amazing law teacher as well. We are so grateful to have him here at East Orange Campus High School. And now at this time, I have one thing to say before we close out and our students take us right on back to church as we close out and go celebrate our retirees on the opposite side. Where do we go from here? That rhetorical question, one more again. Where do we go from here as we move forward in the spirit of excellency, as we move forward in the spirit of knowledge and empowerment and inspiration? Think about your actions. Think about your actions in dealing with children. There are times where we're tired, right? There are times where we need to recharge, but we have to constantly reflect upon our why. How can we get more creative in teaching those who are disengaged? How can we get more creative in teaching those who do not want to move forward or push anymore? How can we challenge those who do not want to be challenged? We have to put boots on the ground, get creative, and sometimes it takes a moment of rest, right? We're human, so if you need to take a mental health day to get your mind right, you do that. But when you come back to, I want to call this the battleground, right? Because we have work to do here. When you come back to that battleground, come back fully recharged and ready to do that good work of education, that good work of education. And at this time, our scholars are going to take us to church.
Good afternoon, East Orange Campus High School family. We had a wonderful Juneteenth celebration here at East Orange Campus High School that was facilitated by many people. First, Ms. EOCHS and the Social Justice Student Union, and then we had members of our VPA department with Ms. Copal, Mr. Melisco, and other professionals who had our students perform for Juneteenth. We also had teachers perform original poetry and pieces of work of art that really talked about the spirit of Juneteenth and the celebration of it. And so as we close, I'm really reminded of, he talked about, and I want to make a connection between Juneteenth and his 4 agreements. Freedom from fear, freedom from want, freedom of speech, and freedom of worship. And as I think about Juneteenth, that's exactly what African Americans have been wanting since 1865, since the end of enslavement and the Civil War, was that we wanted the freedom from want. I think about Maulana Karenga and the 7 principles of Kwanzaa that talk about that we should have the ability to name ourselves, define ourselves, also about economic independence, and that's that freedom from want to be self-dependent and self-sufficient. Freedom from fear, that we should be able to be who we are culturally, historically, without fear of harassment, intimidation, and all acts of violence that have been perpetrated against our community. So we think about instances, clearly we've heard about Rosewood, we heard about Black Wall Street. Tamika Mallory in her books talks about the 1985 incident in Philadelphia with MOVE. And so this country has had a history of blacks having fear. And so we want to, as we celebrate Juneteenth, not have those type of fears where other communities and other people can be who they are culturally. And then as we talk about freedom of speech and religion, you know, to be able to speak freely as the Constitution should allow us to do. And then as we worship, to be able to do that and ultimately be self-sufficient as a community. So as we think about Juneteenth, we appreciate the holiday, but we also would like to have discussions, and Juneteenth can set the foundation or continue the foundation with discussions on reparation, discussions on how do you eliminate racism in school and education, those biases that we see inherent in our curriculum. So Juneteenth, although again, we celebrate it, we're glad for this holiday, but we know that there's more that we can do as a country. So I thank everyone here at East Orange Campus High School for the vision that we've had in order to expand our minds of our students. And again, as we continue to grow, Juneteenth, we expect that we'll see more changes in our community. In fact, the whole community, inclusive of all races and ethnic groups, for the betterment of all. Thank you.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my